Bawat araw, tayo'y humaharap sa mga nangyayari sa lipunan. Mga pangyayari na nakakaapekto sa ating lahat. Mga pangyayari na kailangan tayong makialam. Kaya nabuo ang programang ito, Issue 101. Tumatalakay sa mga issue ng ating lipunan. Mga issue na dapat nating pakialaman. Mga issue na may malaking kaugnayan sa ating kapaligiran. At mga issue na may kaugnayan sa ating gobyerno. Issue 101. Narito ang inyong tagapagsalita. Issue 101. Your with Senior Simo. Senior Simo. Senior Simo. Issue 101.
Luzon, Visayas at Mindanao. Buong bansa, buong Pilipinas, buong mundo na may Pilipino. Welcome sa isa na namang episode ng ating palatutunan ng araw ngayon na Biyernes, 25 ng Hulyo, taong 2025. The last Friday for the month of July. Kumusta po kayong lahat dyan? Maasa ko na nasa mabuti po kayong kalagayan, malulusog na pangangatawan. Sa episode natin ngayon mga ka-isyo, atin pong tatalakayin ang tanong po muna natin sa mga nakatira ngayon sa kalakhang Maynila. Baha pa ba ang kalakhang Maynila? Dahil lalong lalalim ang tubig kasi ang daming umiiyak. Ang mga gustong mapa-impeach o ma-impeach si VP-Sara Duterte nagsisiiyakan. Dahil diniklarang unconstitutional ang kasong ipinasa ng mababang kapulongan laban kay VP-Sara. Alamin natin ang naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema habang ang buong sabyanang Pilipino ay nagbunyi dahil ito ay pagpapakita na ang batas at hustisya ng bansa ay matatag. Pero bago po natin umpisahan ang ating talakayan, huwag pong kalimutan na mag-like sa video na ito. I-click niyo po ang subscribe button at ang notification bell sana all para kayo ay mapapalahanan kung sakasakaling tayo may live stream katulad nito. At huwag din ninyong kalimutan na i-follow niyo po at i-like ang ating Facebook fanpage na Senior Simon 101. Pati na rin ang ating X account, TikTok at ang ating Instagram para po ninyo pasuportahan po tayo at mananatili po tayo sa internet. Kaya tumpisa na po natin ang ating talakayan dito sa ating palatutunan na kasama po inyong lingkod na si
Senior Simo. Senior Simo.
Alright mga ka-Asia, welcome back. So kasi nagpalabas na ang Korte Suprema ng desisyon tungkol sa katanungan ng constitutionality mula sa panig ni Vice President Sara Duterte. So pag-aralan at alamin natin po ang naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema. So ito po ang naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema mga kaisyo tungkol sa naging petisyon na isinampa ni Vice President Sara Duterte mga kaisyo laban sa House of Representatives. So mga kaisyo, gusto kasing mabigyan ng pansin at gusto kasing maliwanagan lalo na ang panig ni Vice President Sara Duterte tungkol sa katanungan ng constitutionality sa kaso sa impeachment case mga kaisyo na ipinasa ng mababang kapulongan. Ang sumulat oponente mga kaisyo sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema ay si Associate Justice Leonin. Pero bago po mga kaisyo natin tingnan kung ano ang mga laman mga kaisyo, iilang bahagi lang, kung sakasakali mga kaisyo ay lalagpas po tayo ng oras, sana po ay samahan nyo po ako hanggang matapos tayo sa ating pagtalakay nito. Kahit ilan lang ang manonood, but nevertheless, atin pong itong bigyan ng pansin, alamin mga kaesyo, at pwede po nating tingnan kung ano po ang mangyayari o susunod na mangyayari mga kaesyo. So ang pumirma po dito sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema mga kaesyo, sabi dito, we concur. So si Chief Justice Alexander Gismondo, on official leave, si Alfredo Binamin Kagiwa, Associate Justice, no part, sabi dito. Si Ramon Paul Hernando, legal concurring, si Associate Justice Amy Lazaro Javier, si Associate Justice Inting with concurring opinion, si Rodel Zalamida, Associate Justice Zalamida with concurring opinion, si Associate Justice Gerlan with concurring opinion, si Associate Justice Rosario, si Associate Justice Lopez with concurring opinion. On leave but left a vote, concurring naman si Associate Justice Di Maampo. Itong si Associate Justice Marquez din mga kaesyo, Associate Justice Co Jr. At naka-on leave na si Associate Justice Singh, ay sumang-ayon din sa naging desisyon na to mga kaesyo, at si Associate Justice Raul B. Villanueva. So naging unanimous ang desisyon mga kaesyo tungkol sa pagdeklarang unconstitutional sa ipinasa doon sa mababang kapulongan mga kaesyo noong Pebrero, hindi pala Disyembre, Pebrero, na naging hudyat na umpisahan ang impeachment case laban kay VP-Sara. So anong nakasaad dito mga kaesyo sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema? Sabi dito, mahaba-haba kasi ito mga kaesyo. This is 97 page na naging desisyon. Pero kunin lang po natin ang ilang mga bahagi nito mga kaesyo na may importanteng punto kung bakit nakita ng Korte Suprema na itong ginawa ng mababang kapulungan or House of Representatives mga kaesyo na pinamunuan pinamumunuan, ayan pala mga kaesyo ang tama, pinamumunuan ng pinaka buwaya sa House of Representatives mga kaesyo na walang iba kundi si Tambaluslos Speaker Martin Romualdez. Sabi dito sa isinulat ni Associate Justice Leonin, the process of impeachment is a constitutional and therefore legal process that takes place within a political environment. Ang proseso daw ng impeachment ay nakasaad sa konstitusyon at ang kinakailangan nito mga kaesyo ay legal na mga proseso. Pero ang legal na mga proseso nito mga kaesyo ay nakapaloob sa isang political na environment. That it is sui generis, does not convert it to a purely political process. So hindi lang daw ito puro political na proseso mga kaisyo, isolated from the requirements of the Constitution as a whole. The basic constitutional mandate is that public office is a public trust. Being a constitutional value, any process seeking accountability of our public officers must take place within the strict framework, take note, and procedure outlined in the Constitution. Those who participate in this process are as accountable to our people as those who are made the subject of impeachment. So, sinabi dito sa isinulat ni Associate Justice Leonin na yung sumali sa proseso ay magkasing bigat or sa Tagalog ng accountable. Humaharap o may kasagutan o sasagot sa sambayanang Pilipino yung nag-participate at yung subject ng impeachment. They are both accountable to the people. This court, regardless of the political result, will not evade its duty to declare when an act is done with grave abuse of discretion amounting to an excess of jurisdiction of any department, organ, or office. So, sinabi dito mga kaisyo na ang Korte Suprema, regardless of the political result, hindi iiwas o iiwasan yung duty niya na ideklara kung ang isang gawain ng isang opisina ng pamahalaan mga kaisyo ay ginawa with grave abuse of discretion mga kaisyo. Thus we rule, sabi dito. First, the impeachment process is primarily a legal and constitutional procedure but with political characteristics. So sabi dito, sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema, yes, this is legal and constitutional procedure but with political characteristic. It may be sui generis but it is not a purely political proceeding. So hindi daw ito puro political proceeding mga kaisyo. This means, ito yung pinunto ng Korte Suprema dito mga kaisyo. This means that the Bill of Rights, take note mga kaisyo, na kahit, sabi dito ng Korte Suprema, na kahit itong impeachment process ay constitutional na mayroong political characteristic o characteristics, ito ay sui generis. Pero hindi po ito puro politika ang patakaran o ang proceedings nito mga kaisyo. Ibig sabihin na ang Bill of Rights, especially due process and the right to speedy disposition of cases, take note, speedy disposition of cases applies to the entire impeachment process. Kung may katanungan po kayo mga kaisyo, pwede po kayong mag-chat at atin pong pag-usapan. Sasagutin natin ang inyong mga katanungan dito sa live stream na ito mga kaisyo. Second, take note po mga kaisyo, it may be sui generis, the impeachment court, but it is not purely political. Dapat daw ding pansinin o bigyan o sundin yung Bill of Rights at yung due process mga kaisyo. Second, considering the nature of the offices and the institutions that are subject to impeachment, its effects on the independence of constitutional departments and organs and its nature as a constitutional process, all legal issues involving impeachment proceedings are subject to judicial review. Sabi dito ha, considering the nature of the offices and the institutions that are subject to impeachment, its effect on the independence of constitutional departments and organs and its nature as a constitutional process, all legal issues, yung mga katanungan punto legal na may kaugnayan sa impeachment proceedings are subject to judicial review. While the court does not determine when, who, and whether an impeachable officer may be removed and disqualified from political office, it has the duty to construe the process mandated by the Constitution. Ibig sabihin dito mga kaisyo, sinabi dito sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema na kahit ang Korte ay hindi nagtatakda kung kailan o sino o ang isang impeachable official ba ay dapat matanggal o ma-disqualify for political office. Hindi trabaho ng Korte Suprema yan. Ang pagtanggal, ang pag-decide kung siya ay guilty or not o kailangan bang tanggalin sa pwesto ang isang impeachable official, mga kaisyo. Pero ang Korte Suprema ay mayroong duty to construe the process mandated by the Constitution. So, busisiyon ang Korte Suprema ay may karapatan, may trabaho, may duty na tingnan, busisiin kung nasunod ba ang proseso na kinakailangan para gawin ang isang impeachment proceeding. Third, Article 11, Section 3, Paragraph 2 of the Constitution clearly requires that a verified impeachment complaint, ito mga kaisyo, be immediately put in the order of business within 10 session days from its endorsement. Neither the Secretary General nor the Speaker of the House is granted by the Constitution any discretion to determine when this period commences. So walang discretion na nakasaad o walang nakasaad sa konstitusyon na mayroong discretion ang Speaker of the House o ang Secretary General, mga kaisyo, kung kailan nila i-endorse, ilagay sa order of business, mga kaisyo, ang isang impeachment complaint. Nasabi ng konstitusyon na dapat immediately put in the order of business, immediately. So kasi nagiging debate, issue na, mga kaisyo, ang tungkol sa forthwith na kailan dapat ang forthwith, pero ito namang House of Representatives, mga kaisyo, hindi nila alam kung kailan ang immediately na nakasaad sa Constitution. Complaint be immediately put. Neither the Secretary General nor the Speaker of the House is granted by the Constitution any discretion to determine when this period commences o kailan ito. Wala silang karapatan na intayin o piliin o mag-decide kung kailan nila ilagay sa order of business, mga kaisyo, yung impeachment complaint. Dagdag dito, neither does the House of Representatives have any discretion except to refer these matters to the proper committee within 3 session days. Within these periods, the House may opt to consolidate all impeachment complaints properly commenced and endorsed. Dito, mga kaisyo, obviously, sham complaints, for example, those that are not verified should be dismissed immediately even if endorsed. Complaints that are not properly endorsed by a member of the House of Representatives within a reasonable period should also be dismissed. These types of dismissals will not trigger the 1-year ban. Klinaro dito ng kataas-taasang hukuman na yung mga dinismiss na mga impeachment complaints sa kadahilanan na it is not verified, sa kadahilanan na kahit na ini-endorse, sa kadahilanan na it is not properly endorsed by a member of the House of Representatives, sa loob ng reasonable period, dapat ito i-dismiss. At hindi ito lalabag o maging paglabag sa 1-year ban, mga kaisyo. It will not, or these types of dismissals will not trigger the 1-year ban. A session day, however, is not equivalent to a calendar day. It is a period that starts from a call to order until the session is adjourned regardless of the passage of time. So sabi dito, ang isang session day daw, however, is not equivalent to a calendar day. So sinangayunan ng Korte Suprema ito mga kaisyo. I think this question or inquiry from the Supreme Court was answered by the House of Representatives. Respondents were able to comply with Article 11, Section 3. 2. By putting the 3 endorsed impeachment complaints in the order of business of the House of Representatives. However, since the 19th Congress terminated, the 3 impeachment complaints became enacted upon. So, ibig sabihin daw, na kahit sinunod ng 19th Congress ang Article 11, Section 3.2 by putting the 3 endorsed impeachment complaints in the order of business, pero since the 19th Congress terminated the 3 impeachment complaints, or Congress terminated the 3 impeachment complaints became enacted upon. So hindi daw ito naging napansin. Since these complaints were archived, they were effectively terminated and dismissed. Fourth, the filing of the articles of impeachment under a different mode, namely Article 11, Section 3.4 is different from Article 11, Section 3.2. It is a separate and distinct mode of initiating an impeachment complaint. Therefore, it is already barred by Article 11, Section 3.5. Okay, the 1-year bar is reckoned from the time an impeachment complaint is dismissed or no longer viable. So, ibig sabihin nito mga kaisyo, ang 1-year ban daw, reckoned. Ano ba yung record? From the time an impeachment complaint is dismissed or no longer viable. Mawawalang bisa na. From the time an impeachment complaint is dismissed or no longer viable. Fifth, Article 11, Section 3.4 does not exist in isolation of the other provisions of the Constitution. Therefore, it is subject to the requirement due process of law. Due process principles require that, una, draft articles of impeachment or resolution should be accompanied by evidence when made available to the members of the House, especially those who are considering its endorsement. Take note. Take note. Bakit lumabag ang House of Representatives? Sabi dito sa desisyon ng Korte Suprema, ang Article 11, Section 3.4 does not exist in isolation of the other provisions of the Constitutions. Ano ang mga ibang provision ng Constitution, mga kaisyo? Due process principles, mga kaisyo. Due process. Isa na doon ay dapat ang articles of impeachment or draft ng article of impeachment or resolution should be accompanied by evidence when made available to the members of the House of Representatives. Number 2, the evidence should be sufficient to prove the charges in the articles of impeachment. Dapat sapat ang ebidensya. The draft articles, number 3, the draft articles of impeachment and their accompanying evidence should also be made available to all members of the House of Representatives and not only those who are being considered to endorse. Impeachment is an act of the entire House of Representatives which requires a qualified minority vote of only 1/3 of its members to be transmitted to the Senate. However, the House of Representatives is a deliberative assembly where each member should be allowed to represent the views of their constituents. Ibig sabihin ito mga guys, dapat nagdebate sila, hindi parang scripted lang katulad ng ginawa nila noong Pebrero. No? Nagbabasa lang ng script. Dapat debatihan yung minority, may mag-o-oppose, dapat kinaro, dapat mayroong palitan ng kuro-kuro at opinyon. Number 4, the respondent should have the opportunity to be heard on the draft of articles of impeachment and the supporting evidence to prove the charges prior to the transmittal to the Senate and regardless of the number of members of the House of Representatives that have already endorsed. Number 5, reasonable period of time determined on the basis of complexity of the charges must be given to all the members of the House of Representatives for them to reach their independent decision on whether or not to endorse an impeachment complaint. Number 6, the basis of charge must be for impeachable acts or omissions committed in relation to their office and during the current term of the impeachable officer. For the President and Vice President, this act must be sufficiently grave amounting to the crimes described in Article 11, Section 3, 1 or betrayal of public trust given by the majority of the electorate. 7. At the very least, to accord opportunity to be heard and the requirement of due process in the procedure. So, ibig sabihin, dapat pinakinggan. Kasi katulad, ang gustong ipakita kasi ng Korte Suprema nito mga kaisyo, ay yung mga proseso bago magsampa ng kaso na kung saan mayroon tayong mag-file muna tayo ng kaso doon sa piskal at i-determine the usual case usual case. Doon sa piskal, titingnan ng piskal yung ebidensya tapos titingnan kung sapat ba yung ebidensya para pagkilala kung ito ay dapat bang isampa na kaso. So ito kasi ang nakapaloob, no? Hindi ko na lang po lahatin itong laman nitong naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema mga kaisyo. So dito na lang tayo. Talon tayo sa huling bahagi ng dokumentong ito mga kaisyo. Sabi dito, final note. It is not our duty to favor any political result. Ours is to ensure that politics are framed within the rule of just law. We cannot concede the sobriety of fairness inherent in due process of the law to the passions of a political moment. Our fundamental law is clear. The end does not justify the means. But hindi to dali lang. Ano nangyari nito? Ayan. Parang hindi. Dali lang. What happened to this? Okay. We understand our history. We have learned that in the past, momentary desires to do what is convenient and concede means to ends have inadvertently created precedents that weaken the succor of law for those who dissent or those at our society's margins or those who may have fallen out of grace from the powers that we have learned that the clash of political interests in the past, often disguised by noble intentions, has obscured the need to address the real problems of corruption, inequality, poverty, and dispowerment faced by our people. Ito mga kaisyo, natamaan ito sina Carpio at Dilima at yung iba pang gustong matanggal si VP Sara. No? Sabi dito, we have learned that the clash of political interests in the past, often disguised by noble intentions, yung panawagan nila ng accountability, has obscured the need to address the real problems of corruption, inequality, poverty, and disempowerment faced by our people. Tinakpan nito ang totoong problema ng korupsyon. We will not allow that to happen again. We will not hesitate to declare what is legal, just, and right of our people. Palakpakan natin ang Korte Suprema. Masig bagong palakpakan ang Korte Suprema nito mga kaisyo. There is a right way to do the right thing at the right time. This is what the rule of just law means. This is what fairness or due process of law means, even for impeachment. So ito ng mga kaisyo. No? Accordingly, the petitions in GR numbers are partially granted. The 3 impeachment complaints filed under Article 11, Section 3.2 and placed in the order of business of the House of Representatives remained unacted upon and archived by the 19th Congress prior to its adjournment. They were effectively dismissed. The subsequent filing of the articles of impeachment under Article 11, Section 3.4 against Vice President Sara Duterte and its transmittal by the House of Representatives to the Senate of the 19th Congress is considered to be a separate and distinct mode of initiating an impeachment process. The articles of impeachment are declared barred by Article 11, Section 3.5 of the Constitution. Likewise, they are unconstitutional and are deemed null and void ab initio.
Your will, Senior Simon.
Consequently, the Senate did not acquire jurisdiction to constitute itself into an impeachment court. So the decision, according to this, is immediately executory. It shall be deemed served on petitioners and released upon publication in the Supreme Court website and receipt at the parties of their digital copy in accordance with. Considering Article 11, Section 3.5 of the Constitution, no impeachment. Kasi yung pang-apat kasi, Section 3.5 sinight doon. Diba? Yung 1/3 is automatic filing of the impeachment. So Section 3.5 of the Constitution, ito yung nangyari sa Pebrero ha. Yung Article Section 3.1 ang itong sinabi dito mga kaisyo or 3.2 pala ay yung mga tatlong impeachment complaint nung nauna mula Disyembre ata yun. Considering article, no impeachment proceeding may be commenced at the House of Representatives during its 20th Congress against VP-Sara Duterte earlier than February 6 of 2026. So anong ibig sabihin nito ng Korte Suprema mga kaisyo? Ay yung kung mayroon mang magsampa ulit ng impeachment complaint ay hindi pwede. Hindi pwede prior to February 6, 2026. So kung mayroon mang susunod na magsampa ng impeachment complaint laban kay VP Sara mga kaisyo, it must be beyond February 6, 2026 to follow the one year barred rule mga kaisyo. So, anong napulot natin mga kaisyo? Dapat kasi bigyan ng due process mga kaisyo ang mga impeachable official na hindi sinunod ng House of Representatives. So itong mga nag-react mga kaisyo, of course itong mga to ay talagang gusto nilang matanggal si VP Sara. So katulad nitong si Boy Ngiwi mga kaisyo na si Percy Sindanya, sabi niya dito the dismissal of the impeachment sets a dangerous precedent daw. Easy being cuddler of VP Sara Duterte. Grabe no? Ang mga utak ng mga kaliwang grupo mga kaisyo, itong mga rebelde, itong mga supporter ng communist terrorists katulad ni Akbayan Party List Representative Percy Sindanya. Sabi niya dito na lahat ng tiwaling politiko pwede nang magtago sa likod ng Korte Suprema at takasan ng pananagutan ng sabayanan. Grabe kagago itong mga to mga kaisyo. Pwede nilang i-twist na hindi tayo dapat maniwala doon sa naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema daw. Itong mga to dapat tanggalin natin ito sa pwesto ng ang mga to. Bakit pa nanalo pa tong Akbayan na tong mga puro gago itong, lalo na itong si Boy Ngiwi. Palin ko tong gago. Itong isa pa, walang iba kundi itong nag-ambisyong maging pangulo pero walang alam sa batas. Gaga, ipokrita. Bakit ipokrita? Dahil sinampahan niya ng cyber libel yung mga pumupuna sa kanya. Ano sabi ni Hontivirus dito? With all due respect, nakakadismaya itong biglang pagpigil ng Korte Suprema sa pagdaraos ng impeachment trial laban kay VP Sara Duterte. Baliwanag naman na sinabi ng Korte Suprema na hindi nila pinawalang sala si VP Duterte at maaaring ma-file ang impeachment complaint ulit next year. But we have many disturbing questions about the short-term and long-term consequences of this ruling. Public office is a public trust, she said, stressing that the people have the right to hold their highest officials accountable. Di magsampa kayo doon sa ombudsman. bag maning bayhan na bag. Itong isama mga kaisyo, nag-aral ng batas sa Itbulaga mga kaisyo. Itong si Vicente Soto, sabi niya dito, itong si Tito Sen, no? Being a member of the impeachment court, I would rather hear what the HOR has to say. I was just told by a legal luminary that in this situation, we can disregard the easy decision. Pwede daw pag walang bahala, isang tabi lang daw ang yung naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema. Sabi daw ng legal luminary, baka ang legal luminary niya ay si kapitan ng Itbulaga. Yung si Wally Bayula ba? Ha? Pero sabi ni Chis Escudero mga kaisyo, sabi niya dito, Chis Escudero tells House, you're not higher than the Supreme Court. So, hanggang dyan na po muna tayo mga kaisyo dito sa ating issue 101. Kung nasisihan po kayo sa ating pagtalakay at pagbibigay po ng dagdag na kaalaman, lalo na dito sa ating tinalakay ngayon mga kaisyo na naging desisyon ng Korte Suprema sa impeachment case. Sabi kasi ng Korte Suprema ay wala na. Tapos na ang boxing, itigil na ang impeachment dahil ito ay unconstitutional. So, kung gusto nyo magsampa ulit ng kaso, doon na sa Pebrero 7, 2026. Sa susunod na taon na kayo magsampa ng dagdag na impeachment or kung gusto nyo ulit i-impeach si VP-Sara. Sa February 7 na kayo mag-file ulit o magsampa ng impeachment complaint. So, wala na. Tapos na ang impeachment. Panalo na si VP-Sara. Tuloy na ang trabaho. At dito makikita natin, no, yung sinabi kasi ni Auntie Claire na the justice system in the Philippines is questionable. Katakataka daw itong justisya natin sa Pilipinas. Yan ay masasabi masasabi ng isang tao, lalo na kung hindi pabor sa kanya ang mga desisyon. Kung hindi pabor sa kanya ang desisyon ng mga korte. Anong masasabi nyo dyan mga kaisyo? Maraming pong salamat sa nakapanood sa video natin. So hanggang sa muli, ito po ang inyong lingkod na si
Senior Simon.
Pansamantala po munang mamaalam para sa ating palatuntunan ng
Issue 101.
hanggang sa muli, tandaan, mas lamang ang may alam. Bye-bye!
At yan ang Issue 101. Ang hilin natin sa mga kinauukulan ay umaksyon. Hanggang sa susunod, maraming salamat sa inyong pagsubaybay.